Welcome to the Prodigal Blonde Unfiltered with me, Andrea Logan. You guys, I am so excited for today's guest. She has been a friend for years, and she is a powerhouse in the film industry. Alexandra Boylan is a dynamic, award-winning filmmaker, writer, producer, and actress who has been trailblazing through Hollywood for nearly 2 decades. Born and raised in Massachusetts, she is known for her fearless pursuit of meaningful content. In addition to her numerous acting credits, Alexandra co-created the Boylan Sisters production company, a successful film studio that focuses on faith-based, family-friendly content. Their first feature-length film, Catching Faith, streamed on Netflix for 2 years and has spawned a sequel, as well as paved the way for other critically acclaimed movies such as The Greatest Inheritance and Switched. Their latest adventure, Identity Crisis, also serves as the basis for a YA novel, which she co-authored with her sister and business partner, Andrea. The film won Best Screenplay at the International Christian Film Festival. Okay, overachiever. Alexandra Boylan, welcome to the show.
Hi, Andrea. Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad we can catch up this way. This is how we can catch up.
I know. It's been too long.
Oh gosh. How long have we known each other? It's probably going on 7 years.
6 years, 7 years. Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh. Time is whipping by. And yet I'm still like 21, right?
Yeah, I'm 24.
Yeah. At least my brain thinks that. But yeah, no, it's been like 6 years since we met at Aroma Cafe in California and had a lovely lunch.
That's right. And I saw you on Kim's show.
Yes.
And Kim invited me on the show. And I think that's how we reconnected.
Yes.
And then I was like, wait, you actually have a film with PureFlix. So
Yeah.
it's such a small world, because I was actually going, well, that was probably like 2018, I was going through a divorce then. So
Yeah. Me too. Me too. We both were. And
we have a lot to talk about, including real life stuff, because you have no filter in the most beautiful way, which I love in the faith-based world. So we were talking just right before we jumped on here, and I want you to go there.
Okay, we'll go there today. But yeah,
so for the people that don't know you, tell us a little bit about where you grew up and how the heck you and your sister got into this business.
Yeah. Well, I roped that poor girl into it. She is a clinical licensed social worker. So I roped her in. But anyway, I grew up in Massachusetts. My dad is actually a minister, so I am a PK, but I always loved acting. Like you, Andrea, I loved acting and I wanted to be a movie star. And at 19 years old, I packed up my Toyota Corolla and I moved from Massachusetts to California all by myself. And I started pounding the pavement and doing I moved to there before there was really even like social media. So, we used to get, I don't know about you, but I used to get Backstage West from the newsstands. And the Thomas guy. That was the only way of getting around
on the iPhones. Right?
Yeah. So I just started pursuing acting, loved it, but got my behind kicked by Hollywood and spent 10 years going nowhere, absolutely nowhere, and doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, and literally and waiting tables and making bad decisions. And then it was in 2009 that I was praying about leaving LA, and I was like, okay, God, I don't think this is the life you want for me. And I was starting to kind of hit rock bottom in LA. And in the same week that I was praying about going to Albuquerque, New Mexico, I lost my job in my apartment. And I felt like God was like, what more do I need to take away from you? You need to leave LA. Whoa. And I was like devastated because I felt like confirmed that he didn't want me there anymore. And I was like, oh no. So I packed up my little Toyota Corolla yet again in 2009, 10 years from coming to LA. And I moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I heard the industry was booming. And I kind of just went out there to resurrender my life to the Lord. And I was like, okay, God, whatever I'm doing for my life is not working. And clearly I'm not in your will. And I kind of, went from hands clasped to hands opened. And I spent like a year wandering the desert, literally in New Mexico. And that is when I started doing other things like standing in on film sets for talks. And I was Kat Dennings standing on Thor. And then I met all these independent filmmakers. And it dawned on me that I was like, why am I waiting for someone to pick me? Why don't I just pick myself, start making my own movies, and I can do this. I'll figure it out. So I was making shorts, and then I made my first feature, which was a thriller, because I knew from acting background that thrillers sold with no star names and no budget. And 4 of us went to the New Mexico desert and shot a feature for like no money. I self-funded it and just taught myself how to do it. Taught the team, and I just kind of figured it out as we went. And then when the movie was done, I moved back to Los Angeles, and I ended up getting with a sales agent, and I sold Home Sweet Home to a major distribution company. And it was actually, it was so incredible because after 10 years of failing as an actor, it was amazing to get chosen when you make something. And I was like, oh, wow. And when as an actor, you can't work hard enough for someone to pick you.
So you can't get arrested.
Yeah, exactly. So it was really awesome to go, wow, if I put all my time and effort and talents into something I can create and build and make and have, then I can have at least, I thought the movie would only be seen by our mom and dad or like our friends and family. So the fact that it got on the shelves of Walmart and was on Netflix and Redbox, remember Redbox?
Yes.
Was incredible. And then it was really my sales agent who, when I talked to him about it making another thriller, he said, no, you should go make a faith-based family movie. And I was like, wait, what? That wasn't even like the trajectory I was on at all. And I really felt like God was calling me to do it. And I was like, and he was like, oh, and then this is your favorite part because it's all about women. So I was like, my sales agent was like, okay, I'll give you the money. And but the only requirement is you have to make it a football movie. So this was back in like 2011. And I was like, okay. And I looked at the landscape of faith-based and didn't see a lot of women being represented in the leading roles. Yep. And I said, oh, okay, I'll make a football movie, but I want it to star a woman, and we should make women-led films. I'm a woman, if I'm going to write for it. So I brought that back to my sales agent, and he said to me, oh, no, you can't make a female-led faith-based film. There's no numbers in the marketplace to back up a female-driven faith-based film. And I said, I think that's because no one's doing it. But if you let us prove that there's an audience, I think that a lot of women would like to see themselves in the leading role. So he let us do it. In order to make Catching Faith, I actually gave up my apartment in Los Angeles, put everything I owned in storage, and lived out of a suitcase for a year to make Catching Faith a reality because I believed so much in making a female-led faith-based film that I was all in. And I was like, okay, God, you called me to do this. I'm all in. I'm in it to win it for you, God. And I gave up everything I owned. And we made Catching Faith for $75,000 all in, Andrea. And we sold it to a major distribution company, and it went on to become the top 5 consistent selling movie for them.
Let's go, God.
Let's go, God. And it just showed that women want to be in movies, see themselves in movies. And so what?
Did you play the lead?
No, I played the lead girl's frenemy. I play the mean girl. My friend Lorena Segura York plays the lead in Catching Faith.
That's amazing. I mean, the irony is we hear that all the time, but in the faith-based world, we are the demographic. Like women are the demographic, which is what we talk about all the time. And I'm not trying to say this in a bad way, but it is run it's run by males, right? And that's when I remember talking to you, and I was like, when you had a meeting at PureFlix, and I think you were in a room with all men, and you're like, I wasn't intimidated. Do you remember that when we were talking about that?
Oh, absolutely. Because I was the only woman in the room when we sold Wish for Christmas to PureFlix. And I went into the meeting and I sat down at the head of the table. Because I was like, if I don't sit down at the head of the table, no one's going to look at me or talk to me. And I was like, I'm going to run this. And I even said to all the guys who were there at the time, I said, where are all the women at this table? Your target demographic is women. And they actually all said, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I was like, you might want to go hire some women because, and So I have no problem calling it out in the room, but it wasn't even like I got bad pushback. I think all the guys were like, "Oh yeah, you're right," and I was like, "So hire some women."
That but I love that about you because you've navigated this business with so much class and integrity and really using pennies to put budgets together. And God, I mean, but God has multiplied it. And
Yes.
so that's what I love is because I think so many people are like, I want to be that person and I want to, but I don't want to walk up the mountain to become that, or this
Mm.
looks overwhelming. So they don't even pursue it. But I think you're a testament to being one of the few that has incredible faith without fear and that you actually have a strong belief in yourself. Now, does that come from your dad? Does that come from your personal faith with the Lord, or is it just something that you feel like God has called you to be on the front lines as a female filmmaker?
Yeah, I definitely think God's called me, and I think He has called me to be fearless in everything I do. And, I'll go into a meeting. I'm like, I work for the creator of the universe. So you can say whatever you want, but it won't hurt me because guess what? I work for God. And so I think my parents did instill really good values into me. And my dad was really amazing. He was like, you can do anything with your life. I think we had really, really supportive parents who were like, you're here for a purpose and a reason, and you have one precious life, and what are you going to do with it? And I do feel like I want to do, while I'm here, as long as God has me here, I want to serve him, and I want to bring content that matters to women and young teen girls. And I'm unapologetically going after that. And I really want to see better. We talked about Switched in my teen girl movie, and like, I want to create better content for young girls. And we know as an actor what it was like auditioning for these parts, or being like, am I going to have to do that in the room? And just like being not even proud of the stuff you'd get as an actor. So I'm just trying to change so many things. And it's a tough battle because I'm trailblazing in the teen girl women's space of being like, we need to make empowering women stories.
Right. I love Switched and I love what you did with that because it made me think of you when I was in the theaters. Gosh, it's probably been a couple years. The latest Mean Girls. Did you see the latest
Yes,
Mean Girls? And
I
I'm
did.
in the theater and I'm like fuming of like, oh my gosh, these precious teens are watching this crap, right?
Yeah.
And really at the end of the day, they need to know their identity in Christ. I mean,
Yes.
and it's just like I'm seeing this pan out to what the world is ingesting, this junk food, right? It's just
Yeah.
pure junk and it's all carnal. And so I thought of you and I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, Lord, that you have Alexandra really honing in on that demographic
Yeah.
because it's so
Mhm.
I have a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old, two daughters, and my son is 18, but there's so much crap out there.
So
And
much.
and beyond.
Oh,
And they're all drawn to whether it's Stranger Things or like I took them to see. I had no idea what Mean Girls. I took them. I was horrified. I was like, girls, and they didn't even really love it because it was kind of like a crass sexual musical. Like it just didn't hit at all. And
yeah.
I don't knock the filmmaker, but as a mom, I'm like, ugh, my
Yeah.
heart grieves. You know. So
I grieve on all the content that's going out to young girls right now, and so frustrated with it because I think there is a very strong agenda behind it. To make, I mean, if you look at Euphoria, and some of these things are getting targeted to 14-year-old girls,
yep,
it's like someone's behind the scenes trying to make porn normalized, make it cool, make it hip. And the way they'd have them, multiple partners for young girls. And I'm like, why? That is not hip and cool. And that is not. And so, like, I get so upset about the agenda that continues to happen and I think I told you this story, but, we got offered $2.5 million for the script level of Switched if we would remove God and make it hip and cool. And I said, well, what is hip and cool? And they said, well, raunchier, like the girls should go to parties, take their clothes off, have sex with guys. And I'm like, my audience is 8 to 14-year-old girls. That is
Right.
not happening. That's the opposite of the message I'm trying to tell young girls. And I walked away from a $2.5 million deal with no deals on the table, by the way. But I was like, I refuse to compromise when it comes to the messaging. I want our young girls to know that their worth is in Christ and they're precious, and they are precious.
I mean, that it's so interesting because before I got saved when I was 21. So those teen years, I did not have the Lord, and I raised myself. And I only wish that I had movies that spoke life into me.
Yeah.
But Satan's strategy is nothing new, where it's constant, like he normalizes that, which is why, honestly, my respect for Hollywood, I'm like, I have no respect for it, because there's incredible actors, incredible pieces, but their whole goal is to desensitize our spirit, to make everything like, oh, it's normal to be unfaithful. It's normal to have multiple partners. It's normal to lose your virginity at 13. Like, no, hell no.
Yeah. So, and it's so a male's fantasy. I mean, it makes me so angry. Right. Like a man's fantasy of what they want, where a girl is with 3 men. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I have a friend who used to be a reader for Disney, and she said scripts would come in where girls were having threesomes with 2 guys. And I'm like, who wrote that? Some guy who just wants to train girls to behave that way. And it's like, it makes me so sick and angry. And
and I think the great thing about what you do is you meet in the middle, where you don't water down the message, but it's not so like squeaky clean, cookie cutter Christian, because you have to meet people where they're at. And a lot of people are turned off by that. And so, and we always say, you might not be able to bring somebody to church, but you can bring them to the movie theater. You can bring them to watch that, which is why it's so important to put that kind of content out there.
Yeah. And to make sure it's hip and fun and my goal is to rival Disney, and my goal is to be, on our tiny budgets, my costumes, everything I do with my movie is trying to be excellent, so that, the kids aren't like, Mom, don't make me watch that terrible movie. Instead, they're like, oh my gosh, this is so fun, and it's for me, and I like it. And I think kids are desperate to hear the messages we're giving. They actually want to hear those messages. So it's exciting when we hear from parents who are like, thank you for the movies you're making, because we love it and our kids love it. And they probably watch on their slumber parties every night because there's nothing else for them to watch.
Gosh, it's so true. So what are you working on currently?
Well, so Identity Crisis just released. We have a few scripts that we are out pitching, because I'm always out there with all my scripts hustling to try to get more teen girl movies made. We should be making like 5 of these a year to even rival what's going on. But Identity Crisis is the newest one, and it's about a shy science whiz in college who struggles with imposter syndrome and confidence and doesn't think she's good enough. And she figures out how to clone herself and create what she thinks is the perfect identity and send that girl off to do all the things she's afraid of, only to discover that God already created her the perfect version of herself. She was fearfully and wonderfully made, and he gave her all the confidence. She just had to try. And it is literally about teaching kids that their identity lies in Christ and that we are created on purpose for a purpose.
That is an incredible log line, by the way. That's so good. And did you and your sister write that?
Yeah, we wrote that one. And we won a lot of awards. The film came out. It stars Maria Canales-Barrera as the professor, who's the mother from Waverly. Yeah, I love her. She's so good. We casted twins to play the girl and her clone because we didn't want to split screen, and they were excellent and amazing. And it actually has Laura Lee Turner, who played one of the girls in the Mean Girls Broadway. So we had a great cast, and but we wrote it, and a lot of it stemmed from, it's really funny because I do believe God will give us inspiration that we don't know where the world is going 3 years from now. So we wrote Identity Crisis. It was really about just not knowing who you were, not having confidence. But then as the world started getting crazy, telling kids that their identity is wrong, we were like, okay, God, well, this is good timing to put out a movie that literally is telling kids that they are fearfully and wonderfully made, and they are not an accident. They're not a mistake. So, and also I think we also learned, because we worked with Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, Arizona, and the dean of the college read the script, and he said, I was at Pepperdine for 10 years or something before this. He's like, I've been at education for years. And he goes, I'm so excited about the script because one of the biggest challenges that girls face that boys don't face their first freshman year of college is that boys will raise their hand if they don't even know 1% of the answer. A girl won't raise their hand unless they're 100% right. And he goes, I've watched so many girls fall back behind, not because they weren't smart, but because they were afraid of not being right. And our movie addresses failure is okay. You just get back up and try again. There is no such thing as failure. You just got to put yourself out there so you can learn. And that's where our heart was to tell girls, like, just raise your hand, even if you're wrong. You've got to participate. So that's where it kind of came from. And then like we do with our Disney-like ideas of switching bodies and cloning yourself, it's fun to see what would happen. Because how many times does people say, if I could just be this, if I could just be that? And that's the illustration of, oh, what if you could? And then you miss out on all the things that were amazing about yourself. Or maybe you have all those and you had to see yourself do it in order for you to do it. It's like your best friend coming to life and guiding you through, you know?
Such a beautiful message, because you see the wealthiest, most successful, most famous. I mean, it's just a bunch of smoke and mirrors, because that's not really satisfying, right?
Right. Exactly.
And they're like, wait, I should be happy. This should feel different. Why don't I? And then they fall to addiction, or they fall to whatever it is. And so we see that firsthand in this town and in celebrities, and money can't buy what God's plan and who he's made us to be. And that's really like a beautiful message to preach to the youth nowadays, because
it really is.
They feel so, my 15-year-old is, I remember being that awkward phase of feeling like you don't fit in and feeling like you're not enough. And you wake up at that time of the month and you're like, I'm so ugly. And, it's like, to tell them, like, every person feels this way, but that's not what God says about you. And so, it's like those little messages that you're throwing out there are seeds to these beautiful girls and teens that need it. So I love that. Love that.
And that's why we like to go after the 8 to 14-year-olds, because we're trying to prepare them for life. We're trying to get them young so that they are, when they go to college, they'll remember our movie and go, oh yeah, I need to try, or okay, I need to be confident. Confident is a mindset. And we talk about that because people come up, you speak a lot in public, and we do a lot of public speaking, and I'll have girls come up to me and say, how do you do that? And I said, I just take one step in front of the other and I just do it. And I tell myself to do it, and I do it. And that's like what the movie talks about, that confidence is a mindset, and you just have to take those first steps to continue to do what you need to do. And that's why we wrote a novel too, because we feel like the message of this movie is so important that we were like, okay, if the kids are on their baby mini televisions while they're watching the TV, we'll write this all in a book, because we wanted the novel, if they ever read the novel, to really seep in, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And so we're just trying, and all of our movies come with youth group studies, Bible studies, curriculums, family conversation starters, because we want our movies to open up conversations. So if you and your daughter watch Identity Crisis, you can take that conversation even further. And what does it look like to live out the theme of this movie?
Oh my gosh. How do you ever sleep?
No.
I love writing Bible studies, writing your screenplays. It's like, that is so. You and your sister are powerhouses.
Thank you. Yeah, we work. I mean, there's a lot of hours in the day, and I really love our audience. You nailed it. I care about my audience so much that if I need to be continuing to create product for them that encourages and is influential for them and life-giving truths, they need it and want it. And we know that Hollywood's never going to do it. So we have to do it.
I know. And what I love about you is that you are so on fire to promote women in the industry, that you are like the biggest hype girl. Like, so I just want to brag on you for a second, because you really honor women in this business, because I think you see, and I walked through it, of feeling invisible, undervalued, not seen as an equal, not getting put on salary. I mean, we can talk about all the unfairness, but we can use that to our advantage to say, no, God, we know the truth. Yeah. And we are going to make a difference because you gave us a voice and you gave us a heart to believe that you are faithful and that this vision and this dream is from you. So talk to the audience about how they may not have your grit or your skills to write and to be able to do all the things and juggle all the things and raise funds for that. But talk to the audience like they feel called to this business. What would you tell? Oh, and you also wrote a book.
I did. Oh yeah. I wrote a book called Create Your Own Career in Hollywood. I did. Yeah. I guess Andrea, we've been around for a while. I've been in LA for 24 years. And I think my advice to other women is that when we get to a place, if we get to a place of power, we need to send the ladder down. We have to send the ladder down. We cannot clamor over each other. I think the problems for women is there's so much, everyone thinks there's not enough room at the top for all of us. Well, let's create the room for each of us. And I have always crewed up 51% women, if not more, on my film sets, because, a lot of sets, when it's all men, it's because, the men at the top are hiring what looks like them. So when I get the chance to hire, I'm hiring women and I'm giving them the opportunities that they normally wouldn't get. And I did that on Catching Faith. I only had one electrician. And I took all the resumes and I found this woman who had just as good a resume as all the men. And I hired her. And my gaffer kind of freaked out and was like, I only have one electrician and you gave me a woman. I was like, but she's just as good as everybody else. And I think she'll probably even work harder because women have to work harder to prove themselves all the time. And by the end of the show, he said she was one of the best he'd ever worked with. He ended up moving over to Netflix and he took her with him. So this is the power of women going to bat for women and giving them those opportunities to prove themselves. But we as women have to go do that for each other. I gave Sherry Rigby her first directing job on Identity Crisis. And I was so excited to put a woman in that position. And I'm always trying to find ways to put women to work. We always get the reframe stamp. The reframe stamp, it's the Sundance and Women in Film Initiative to have a certain amount of diversity and women behind the camera and in front of the camera. We have it for every single movie because I am so inclusive of I want to make sure that I'm giving women jobs that they normally, and I encourage every woman to do that because we cannot wait for other people to pick us. We have to pick ourselves, and then we have to send the ladder over, down. I mentor women. I've been part of Women in Film for years. And I used to be part of Women in Moving Picture Salon. It dismantled, but it was a huge organization. And I used to go to all these events in LA and there'd be hundreds of women in the room and everyone would be complaining about not getting what they want in the business. And I stood up one day and I was like, why are we wasting our time complaining? Why don't we all just get together and go make a movie? And I think that's always been my mindset is if I have a problem, I'm not going to complain about it. I'm going to go and solve it. If I don't like what I see going on, then I'm going to be part of the solution. And that's what I encourage women to do.
That's so good. Let's be honest because it's filled. We get rejected 99% of the time. I'm like, you want to get beat down if you don't know who you are in Christ. Go be an actor, go be a filmmaker, and you will. And if you don't know the vision that God gave you, you will be annihilated, right?
That's right. Oh, and oh my gosh. I've made 8 feet. We were just saying this, you guys. I made 8 features and I can't get a studio deal. And so many people have come to me and said, if you were a man, you would have such a better career. And I believe that because I have built all my movies from scratch. I've raised all the private investment, taken them from conception to completion, gone on to distribute them and market them. And I'm like, shouldn't I be a shoo-in for a job at a studio? But there's something.
Your 9th film will be a studio deal. I'm declaring that over you and your sister.
Let's do it.
Oh God. Seriously.
But it doesn't matter because I won't stop. I'm still out there raising private investment right now because I still will not wait for anyone to give it to me. And I just think our audience needs better content and women need to see themselves represented. And I just will never give that. I will just continue. In any way, shape, or form, I'll be out there trying to be a voice for women in our space. And and I won't compromise in Hollywood.
Through the process of when God gives you an idea, do you sit down with your sister, write the script? then do you pitch the script to studios and whoever? Then do you raise your own money, or do you get a distribution deal? Because every filmmaker is different.
I would love to get a distribution deal ahead of time. No, so I mean, yeah, because I've made 8 features. So of course, every process has been a little different. Some are slower than others. But I mean, usually we come up with an idea, and then we go and we write the script. And then, you know, one of the things we've never done is we don't have one script and sit on it. So when we had like The Greatest Inheritance written, we were trying to take meetings while we were also writing Switched. And then we were writing something else. So we're always kind of making sure that we have a couple of projects ready to go, because you'll get a meeting and they might say, I don't like that. Do you have anything else? And then you want to be able to provide something else in the meeting. But I mean, I've taken a lot of studio meetings and I've tried to get my movies, but then in the meantime, I'm also trying to take independent private investment meetings and trying to meet people. And you guys, like, no one knows what you need until you ask. So you got to be fearless to ask for what you need. And so I do. People are like, what do you need? I'm like, money. I can make a movie, but I don't have any money.
It's the hard part of filmmaking.
It's the hardest part. Trust me. I've been kind of stuck the past couple of years because it's so challenging to raise private investment, and distribution has changed so much that it's challenging as we're trying to figure out how to recoup the money and where will it go. And so, yeah. But my last film, Identity Crisis, I pitched it out and I got with Ben Howard and Aaron Miller, became our joint venture. So it was my first time joining with another set of producers, where together we made the film. But I guess everything is different. But the first thing you have to have is a script. So we always have to have a script. And then we take those out, and I go meet with everybody I can meet with in any way, shape, or form that could bring the movie to life, you know? And then, you know, and then you also have to believe that God is in it with you. So like, there are so many parts of my story that is me putting things out there and then God like opening a crazy door. Like, we had written a college movie and my brother happened to be shooting at the Grand Canyon University, the college tour episode. And they said, hey, do you know any filmmakers? We want to bring some filmmakers to talk to them for our film department. So he invited my sister, and I got flown to Grand Canyon University, and we're there with the president of the university. And we're like, do we tell him that we have a college movie? And then we did. And we said, hey, by the way, and he goes, bring that movie here. So it was like, you have to like hustle and then let God bring you to the right places.
So you shot on this.
What? We shot the entire movie on Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, Arizona. And not only did they give us the college campus, they gave us the extras. We tapped in their COVID. They gave us all behind the scenes. They gave us marketing. So like, that partnership ended up being extraordinary. And that was all God. I mean, that was so God's timing. We couldn't even have planned it, you know, better. So
it's amazing to see the locations and the budget, and then to see the budget being stretched, and then to see the favor like that. That's awesome.
Our budgets are very stretched, Andrea. As you know, we have had small budgets, but we make our dollar go far. Everything goes in front of that camera. You know, I don't go paid tons, huge producer salaries. Sometimes I'm sleeping on a couch, but as long as that money is going in to make that movie as beautiful and as amazing as possible. So, because I care more about the movie than where I sleep, I guess. I've many times been sleeping in people's basements when I'm making movies, because
think, oh, filmmaking, it's so glorious. I'm like, oh, you have no idea.
You have no idea. It is not walking around set with a cup of coffee like, woohoo. I'm like, on Wish for Christmas, we shot Wish for Christmas in my hometown of Massachusetts. So it was my father's church, my graduating high school, a lot of friends and family. And at the end of filming every day, I was the one vacuuming the sets.
Yes.
It was because it was my responsibility.
So true. I mean, you do the ugly work. You see the beautiful end result on screen, but it's like, oh, being indie filmmakers, it's not pretty.
Exactly. But I love it.
It's like you're on it and you're like, oh my gosh, 16, 18-hour days. And then you're done and you're like, okay, I'm not doing this again. And then in 3 weeks, you're like, I'm ready to go. Let's do it again.
It's like having a baby, and then you're like, I forgot all about the pain. I'm ready to go and do it all over again. Yeah, it's so that. And then when you get messages from your audience that their lives are changed, then I just have this insane sense of urgency that I need to make more and do more and continue. I mean, it's been 4 years since Switched, and I can't believe how many kids have said, oh my gosh, that was my high school movie. And I'm like, whoa, it's been 4 years. We need more. And I mean, Identity Crisis just came out, but we need so many more for kids in high school for that to be their high school movie, their slumber party movie,
Yeah. Now, do you have a handful in the queue that you're pitching?
Yep. We have one called Girls Who Click, about a group of girls who a feud erupts between them, and they miss their bus to their archery tournament, and their mothers rent a private jet to get them there. And at 30,000 feet in the sky, the engine blows, and they promise that if they live, they'll never be mean again. And then it goes from there. And then they do crash, and they end up on an island where they have to survive as frenemies and learn to get along with each other and save each other's life. And that's really fun. And then we have one that just got second place at Movie Guide Awards. It's called Fake Friends Forever. And it's about two girls in high school who are extremely competitive, which, have you ever heard of that? Girls in competition with each other? The whole comparison scene. Never heard of that. And one girl sabotages the other girl to take over her school status. And the other one finds out, sabotages her, and they learn that comparison is the thief of joy. And they end up, reconciling in the end. But it talks a lot about, that we as women should not be looking at you as my competition, instead looking at how much you brought out the best in me. And it really talks about your, looking at your friends bringing out the best in you instead of feeling competition and comparison. So it's really a beautiful story. And we got second place at Movie Guide Awards, which was awesome because it's a teen girl movie. And then we have Technology Tripping, and that's about a teen girl who's addicted to her technology, and she's being raised by her grandmother because she's been abandoned by her mother. And she gets in a text-related car accident, and instead of putting her in juvenile detention, they give her a court order to go on a technology-free road trip with her grandmother. And they go on this beautiful journey where they say, if you want to get a kid to talk, take away their phone and put them in a car. And this whole journey serves as like heals family wounds, and talks about addiction, and talks about how we're addicted to a lot of things. It's not just drugs and alcohol. We're addicted to technology and people pleasing, and it really is a beautiful 3 women generation story. So those are a couple of ones.
I love that it speaks, because even I wanted to mention too, even your teen messages, they still speak to women and moms. And I mean, I feel, because I'm raising teens and I'm looking at some of the kids, there's all kinds of kids. We live outside of LA, and there's a lot of money. And you look at some of the kids, and I don't even look at the kids' behavior. I'm like, I look at the parents, right?
Yeah.
Because they're responsible. So I feel like some moms could use some of the teens' messages.
Yes, and both Fake Friends Forever and Girls Who Click, the moms are very big parts of the story. So in Girls Who Click, there's 3 girls and 3 moms, and the moms are kind of mirroring the same behavior their kids are doing. And then Fake Friends Forever, same thing happens with the moms. The moms get involved, and then the moms see how their behavior is kind of similar. And I mean, we never grow out of that stuff. And I think that's why it's fun to show this in films where, like, we as adult women also need to constantly work on our competition and comparison. And so the moms are a huge part of our movies, because that is, we really pride ourselves on being mother-daughter movies where moms and daughters can connect and talk. And we always get excited when we hear from parents that Switched impacted the way they were raising their kid, because in Switched, Denise Richards' character is not paying attention to her daughter. And we've had parents say, you know what, that really resonated with me, and I'm going to be more involved in what my daughter is doing, or my son, on social media. So that's what we're trying to do. We want the whole family to walk away with something that speaks to them.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love it so much. Talk to me now where you are at currently. And you were just telling me off camera, you guys are kind of traveling all over the place, you and your hubby.
I know. It's been a really crazy year. I think I was thinking about this recently, Andrea. I feel like God has been preparing me for a nomadic life for a while. I mean, I gave up my apartment to make Catching Faith and lived out of a suitcase. And when I was done with that, I was like, I'm never going to do that again. And then, when you make a movie, you go on location. And then in March of last year, my husband said, I don't want to live in LA anymore. I just want to go try somewhere else. I think I want to go to Montana. And I was like, excuse me? What? I'm like, do you know me? I am such a Los Angeles, California girl. And so I was like, okay. And we literally packed up and left LA of March of last year and put everything in storage, which was only supposed to be temporary, Andrea. But now we are a year later and we have not gotten a home. So my husband's a first assistant director. So he travels for work all the time. In 2023, he was in Prague for 9 months shooting Interview the Vampire. So he sometimes goes on locations for a long time. And so I just kind of go with him. So now I'm in New York. And then last week I was in Dallas, the one before Wisconsin. So I'm just we're living a nomadic life, but I've kind of gotten used to living out of a suitcase. I do want a home though.
I know. So it's funny because I have had a home and I've been wanting to, I'm like, okay, everybody's leaving me in LA. All the people I know. And so God's put it on my heart, but I can't really move because I have one in high school, one going into junior high. But I have to say, that sounds really fun to me, or to just do it for a year. I know you've been going on past a year, but I'm like, it sounds so freeing to not be bogged down by things, right? Like you have this creative brain that you can travel anywhere and just have a suitcase of clothes and be free. I don't know.
I think it is good. It is freeing. Everyone should do it once in their life because it really shows how much stuff doesn't really matter. Or if it does, maybe it's good to let go of it to realize how much stuff doesn't matter. And I feel like, the only thing we're taking with us is the kingdom of heaven when we go out of here. So it's like, I don't have anything that really is precious to me when it comes to belongings. Things that are precious to me are people, my relationship with Jesus Christ, and not things. So I have learned to live with very little. And I do think that I love that part about, I'm not really a materialistic person. I put all my life into making my movies, clearly. And then, I spend all my money making my movies and pursuing it. But I think it is very freeing. And then, if I've got to pick up and go to Atlanta, I can do that. And I have no house to worry about. I kind of need to, right now I'm in all winter clothes. So I'm supposed to come back to LA on April 25th. I'm getting the same award you got last year for She Leads.
Oh my gosh. Yay. Faith in entertainment industry.
Yes. So I'm getting what you got, girl. Oh, that's so exciting.
What you're gonna get? It's
that's so beautiful.
Really U.S. representative. It's a house of I just told my dad last week. He goes, "You're recognized by the House of Representatives," and my dad's like, "I didn't know that."
Well, congratulations! I saw that you got it, and I'll be home. I'll come visit you. We'll have coffee. I'll be home in April for that. But the funny thing is, all I have in my suitcase is winter clothes. So I'm kind of like, I need to go to Montana and just switch out my clothes from the storage unit. But yeah, I think it is very freeing. I'm thinking maybe I want an Airstream and just like travel the country. Like that is awesome.
Yeah. That's such a dream. That's such a dream. And you're going to have so much fun at that honorary. It's like what am I saying? It's a brunch, but you will see all walks of life. And when I went there, I was like, first of all, Lord, why am I here? Second of all, these women, to see the gifts and the talents that God has put in each of these women. There was like a 99-year-old woman there. Like it was just a room filled with like God's love and faith and just so much love for each other. So I don't know who deserves it more than you. So I'm so excited that you get to receive that. Yes.
Well, I want to be in a room filled with everything you just said. So I can't wait for that. And that's the other advice is we have to be around people who love Jesus constantly in this business, because this business and the enemy will constantly want you to second guess what you're doing. And we have to be around other believers who give us strength and say, You will not compromise. Jesus has a plan, but it's hard. I feel like our industry is always like, people will make fun of my movies and I have to like go and take a moment to go, no, that's the enemy. That's the enemy messing with me. I am not going to stop what I'm doing. And we need Christians surrounding us and good friends to lift us up like you, Andrea.
Oh, I love that. And I'm so excited, and congrats and on your award.
Thank you. Congratulations to you. I feel honored that I get to get it after you. Like I'm following in your footsteps, and I love that.
Pass the torch on. So, and you are too.
And you've been a female trailblazer in this space for so long, and everything you were doing at Pure Flix and everything you've been doing has been inspirational. And I obviously knew of you way before I met you. So when I met you, it was just like, oh my gosh, I get to meet Andrea Logan. And I think that's what's so important is for women to see other women doing it. And that is like, I saw you doing it and I was like, well, Andrea's doing it. I could do it, and that is what we have to just be out there paving the way for everyone else to go, oh, they did it. I can do it too. Yeah, you can,
Yes. And to never give up, because I've had my season, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, shoot. You just froze for a second. Had the season of waiting. The last few years have been waiting. And so the enemy wants to remind you, you're done. You're too old. Throw the towel in. And it's like, wait, our age doesn't matter when we're serving the Lord. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how old we are. That's the world's view, the world's perspective of, your career's over when you hit 31 or whatever it is. And so I think it's just a reminder to all of us that God's timeline is not our timeline. And we just have to trust that he has good plans, even though they're not happening overnight. And even though we feel like maybe we're in the wilderness season or we have a moment where we're questioning it. So I just want to commend you for not giving up and just kicking those freaking doors down.
I am. And I had a woman reach out the other day and was like, switch to open up the door for me to get a meeting somewhere. And I was like, that's so awesome that my film helped pave some other woman's filmmaking career. And that's what I am trying to do is kick down those doors and prove and show that this is important. And therefore other women will get their screenplays made and they'll get the directing chances and the producing chances, especially in the faith-based space, because it is I always say to people, I go, you think Hollywood's male dominated? Go try to work in the faith space. Exactly. What?
I said, I know I have to watch what I say because
I know. And I love them all. And I've always said, I'm not trying to take over the table. I just want a seat at the table with you guys. I just want a seat at the table. And
invite me.
It's all in love. It's all in love that I say that. I think it makes sense. I mean, years ago, when I switched to a male executive, he said to me, I don't understand these girls in high school and why they care about their friendships. And I was like, okay. And this was a good, it ended up being a beautiful conversation between me and this male executive. Because I think I try to not come off rude. I try to come off that I'm coming in a loving place of like, everyone needs to see themselves, So he said, I go, well, what was important to you in high school? Well, I played a lot of video games. And I was like, okay, so that was important to you. Well, a lot of girls, if you went and talked to them, would say their friends are really important to them. And I go, I think it's just that your perspective isn't the same perspective of whoever would watch this movie. And it ended up being a beautiful conversation. And he ended up like almost greenlighting the movie. So I think that it's more like, I'm not trying to say, oh, it's all male. It's just when I'm pitching to men, it's harder because I have to really articulate why our audience needs what we're doing to someone who, if I pitch to a woman, they're all like, oh yeah, let's greenlight that tomorrow. Right?
Yeah, it's like men are, what is it like? What is that book about? Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Exactly. I mean, that's it. So it's more just, we just need a few more women at the table or letting us sit at the table so we can help, speak to that demographic. And I feel like there's, I have a lot of people call me and be like, are you going to make boy movies? And I was like, I think there's plenty of boy movies. I think we're good. I just think God called me to speak to the women and he called me to speak to the girls. And there's plenty of demographic out there for all kinds of movies. And we have decided that this is what God wants us to do. And if he called me to make a movie about a teen boy, I would do it, but he hasn't called me yet.
Oh my
And
God.
I don't think I can speak into a teen boy as well as I could speak into a teen girl. So, yeah.
I think you found your thing and you do it so beautifully. And I can't wait to see more of it and encourage you to, yeah. I mean, I'm believing that you will get a studio deal and it will knock your socks off. But like you said, in the
Let's do
meantime,
it.
you're not.
But in
And
the
I
meantime, I don't have a home, Andrea, so it's okay. In the meantime, I'm homeless, so I can just keep making movies because
you stay here. This is my guest room.
I will be coming in April. So I'll be hitting you up because I know you have a beautiful home and I miss California. And I am not done. You know what? I love what you just said because I've had a rough couple of years too. And you were
Yeah,
saying you've had a rough couple of years and
yeah,
everything is for a season. I have not left LA in my heart. I will someday go back to California. It is my home. And I think that that's really important for us to give everyone grace that God's
yes,
timing can be different than ours. And we have to trust that he is working all things out for the good of us. He is ordaining the steps and we just have to like keep
yeah,
keep walking it. And also thank goodness for like Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman who are making films for women as we get older. And I love what they're doing, saying, don't you tell us our career's over at 35. We'll show you. And they're super successful. So
and beautiful. I
and
mean,
beautiful and amazing. And their films make a lot of money. And I love that because it's like nobody wanted to give them that chance. But that's the thing. That's why we have to trailblaze because no one gives anyone a chance. You have to prove it. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I knew that all along. They're like, oh, no, you didn't. They had to do it, prove it. And then everyone will come around you and say, oh, I knew that.
oh my gosh, I love your honesty. It's so true. Ah, oh my, Alexandra, thank you. It was, we could go on for hours.
I know we could. I'll stop talking.
I love it. No, I love your heart for the industry and for God and for women. Thank you so much. And yes, let's hang out.
Thank you for having me. We'll hang out in April. And thanks for having me on the show. And I love you to death. And thank you for everything you've done to trailblaze for all of us.
Oh gosh. Love you. Appreciate
Love
you.
you.